Hey guys, before we get to the video, please click that subscribe button. Hey guys, Joshua Griffin here, serving the Middle Peninsula and the Northern Neck of Virginia. Wanted to do sort of like a little series. We're getting more and more folks sending us messages, and maybe they're not in Griffin Air's coverage area, but they like some of our content, or I feel like the guy that'll just tell you like it is. We're not trying to sell you something, that you don't want, basically. And so because of that, I wanted to do a series of videos talking about some of the different brands and comparing, their family of brands, if you want to call it that. I've found heating and air is kind of like cars, where you got GM making all these different brands of cars, but it's still the same company. We're finding that with heating and air more and more, where you have, one parent company, but then they make hundreds of brands. And so I wanted to go through today the Trane, American Standard, RunTru, and Ameristar family of brands, if you will. And so they're all a part of the same company. They're all owned by Ingersoll Rand. And I wanted to just touch base on a few of those. If you're comparing, two different brands, I've heard customers say, well, I just had a Trane guy here and you're talking about American Standard, and what are we talking about here, or whatever. And so I wanted to touch base on that. So first of all, if you are in an area that offers more than one of these brands that we're talking about in this video, they are a lot of times, it's a different distribution, different parent company. So like the area that I live in, American Standard, which, by the way, if you're watching this, we're told, and I've been to the factory and seen them made on the same assembly line, American Standard and Trane are basically the equivalent. The biggest difference you will see sometimes is the Trane units come with those hood tops, but now, as of the making of this video, you can actually get that as an addition onto an American Standard system. So that being said, there's really not a lot of difference between the two, other than brand name. They're made on the same assembly line. They might be painted different colors, same parts. And so the difference, say like in our area, is the suppliers, the distribution, if you will. So in our particular area, Trane has a direct, from the factory to consumer, middleman, like they do the distribution themselves. Whereas with American Standard, they have a third party supplier, distribution company that is doing it. And I think there's pros and cons to both. Personally, in my experience, I have liked having the middleman, because you might say, well, if you eliminate the middleman, the price is better. I don't know if that's true. In fact, I would maybe argue that the price is a little bit higher for the Trane line when you're comparing apples to apples. So that being said, what's the real difference there? When you got that middleman there, if the price isn't much better eliminating the middleman, unlike when I'm dealing with the manufacturer directly and I've got 30 different people to call, and this person's in charge of this person's in charge of that, not sure even who to talk to half the time. And I've noticed that when there's a middleman involved, that's actually a good thing, because I can pick up the phone. If something's wrong, I got one person I can call and get this taken care of, get it straight. And so again, getting back to the family itself, the family of brands, if you will, what's the real difference? So as I said, Trane and American Standard are the equivalent. And now they've come out with this RunTru brand within the last year or two. And that is going to be Trane's builder grade brand. So just to back up a little bit, years ago, it used to be Ameristar was Trane and American Standard's builder grade brand, if you will. And they were making them in the same factories. They were coming off the same assembly line. And in some cases, it was the same product. It might have been the lower end, 13 SEER or 14 SEER, whatever, but it was, maybe more on the lower end of their product line. And then they just were rebranding it. And so then for a number of years, for the last several years, they actually shipped the manufacturing of the Ameristar brand over into China. And so they made their brand, made that brand over there. We actually installed some of those. Some of them, have been great. I don't have any complaints to say as far as the brand itself. But the main thing to understand if you're looking at these brands is there is a difference between Trane and American Standard and then their RunTru and Ameristar brands. Does that mean those other brands are bad? No, I'm not saying that. It just means there's not as many bells and whistles. You usually you can't buy but so high of a SEER with the builder grade brands. But, in the last couple years, they've now moved that back to America. So we're being told that the RunTru and the Ameristar brands are now going to be made in America again. I think the main difference, though, if you're, during the making of this video, if you're comparing the two, and when I say the two, I mean Trane and American Standard and then their builder grade RunTru or Ameristar brands. The main difference, other than probably the normal stuff, maybe one has a little bit more of a durable grade cabinet or whatever. But the main difference I would say that we're seeing is the Trane and American Standards, they pride themselves on that spine fin coil, the advantages of that versus a slab coil. And I believe, and I could be wrong, if you're watching this and you're an installer and you're like, no, you're wrong on that, I'm just regurgitating what I'm being told. And that is that the RunTru and the Ameristar brands, they're going to have a slab coil on those outdoor units, whereas the Trane and American Standards have that spine fin coil. So I don't know if this helps you if you're comparing those brands. I think the main thing that I would say, and I'm going to say this time and time again, is I think that people focus on the brand more than they should. I think that you should be focusing more on the contractor that's installing it. You can have two different contractors install the same exact system, one have tons of issues and the other one not. And in a lot of cases, not always, but in a lot of cases, it's because of the way it was installed. And so that's something to keep in mind. And my point in telling you that is, again, I'm going to say this over and over again. I think if you're talking to a contractor and they're telling you about a brand or they're telling you about a product, I have always said you should ask, why are you selling what you're selling? What are your top 10 reasons or your top 3 reasons why you sell what you sell? And me personally, if someone asks me that, I've got a list of reasons why we sell what we sell. I didn't inherit my business from my dad and I just sell the brand he always sold or whatever. I didn't start Griffin Air and just sold the brand that the last company I worked for, I just sell their brand now just because that's what I'm used to or whatever. From the very get-go, we've tried multiple brands. We've been approached by some of the companies and we say, you need to meet this criteria, these standards. And to be honest with you, some of them won't match it. For whatever reason, they won't match that level of standards in some cases. So when someone asks me, why do you sell what you sell? I can rattle off the cuff 10 reasons why I sell what we sell. Why I believe in what I believe or whatever. Because we've tried other brands, we've tested them, we've ran them through the ringer, if you want to call it that. And my guys will even tell you, my employees, they get a vote in this. I have a staff meeting and we'll talk about different things. And one of the things we'll talk about is, what are we seeing? What do we think? What do we need to address? And what do we need to make better? And so obviously our goal is to install that system and for you to not have any issues. You know, we should not know each other very well if you're a customer of ours, right? If I'm getting to where I see somebody more, you know, we're getting to know each other, that's not a good thing, right? So you don't want to know your heating and air guy that well if they're good at their job, you know? So anyway, if you have any questions, click that subscribe button, put a question down in the comments area. And if you're in our coverage area, give us a call. We appreciate it. Hey guys, last thing, if you are in the market for a new heating and air system, whether you're in our coverage area or not, you got to check out my new website. I put together the new HVAC guide, and you can find it at newhvacguide.com. I'll put a link to it down in the notes. I give you all the secrets, all the behind the scenes, things that manufacturers don't even want you to know about, I'm putting on this website. Check it out.